Well, another day and another Joe Root special, and this time at Manchester. He's done it time and again, and once more for England, it's Joe Root who just keeps on going. 150 he managed today, and it's just been that sort of a day where the Indian bowlers had no answer, and Joe Root, I think, now is in an elite list of all-time run getters in the history of Test cricket. He goes up to number two there, going past Dravid, Kallis, and Ricky Ponting in this single innings. So, congratulations to Joe Root. I think it's been an absolutely insane player. The way he's taken his game over the years, it's been really, really special. And the entire Old Trafford stood up, I think, to acknowledge what Joe Root has done today, and it's just been brilliant. And that's sort of a day for India where nothing really seemed to work. There was a bit going on for the bowlers, but England in a commanding position, leading by 186, and we'll be analyzing that and a lot more. Welcome back to Boundary Line Podcast. My name is Dylan Pink. I've got Sheldon Doherty on the show, and Sheldon, has just been that sort of a day for India. But you, as an England fan, I think must be really happy. Joe Root, no denying the fact that he's an all-time great, Sheldon. He's always been there, but I think in the last 5 years, the way he's transformed his game, I think it's just been absolutely insane. And a lot of records broken today by Joe Root. We'll start with one. He's joined with Sangakkara on the list of all-time hundreds, which is 38. So that's absolutely insane there. So your views on Joe Root and the way he's played today, another masterclass, Sheldon, one for the ages, and one I think that the people of Manchester and the people who have come to watch the game today at Old Trafford, I think are going to remember for a very long time.
I think, Bill, what sums up Joe Root as well is that yesterday when we were discussing towards the end of the day, we were like, Root's gonna score 100, and you don't talk like that for most batters, right? When someone's on what he was on, not even on 20 overnight, right? And he
Yeah.
came out to bat, and it was almost inevitable once he got to that first half hour. Then we were like, it's pretty much certain he's gonna get there. Just the way Root bats, till once he gets in, and today was a belter of a day to bat on as well. You just couldn't get him out. He almost stepped on his own foot when he got out. Dill, he had to get himself out almost at that point, Root. But what a player, Dill. It's crazy to think, in 2012, India played England as well. Sachin was towards the back end of his career, Dill. And this young kid, came in at Nagpur. He had that baby face. He made his debut in the Cauldron, Nagpur, a very tough pitch, especially for away batters. It's a spinning track. He came in, he made a 50 on debut there, and he just looked the part. And to think, who would have thought we would have been seeing the two top run scorers in Test history till playing in that game as well? Who would have even imagined that? And for Root, I mean, it's just incredible. He started the day as the fifth highest scorer in Test cricket, and then he just went to
Yeah.
fourth, and then he went to third, and then once he went there, you just knew he was going to go past Pointing. And for Pointing to be on comms, Dill, I mean, who writes these scripts, right?
Iconic, man. Iconic. I don't know who writes these scripts. I swear. I mean, hats off to Sky Sports also. I
Yeah.
think, I think looking ahead and seeing that, I think Joe Root is about to break the record. So, get him on the comms. And I think it was just brilliant. Ponting also on comms, mentioning that he's been an absolute great of the game. Also, there's no more words left to describe this guy. He's just been doing it now consistently for the last 5 years, which is absolutely insane. A time when I think a lot of batters struggled post that pandemic session. A lot of batters were going through that patch. Virat Kohli, Steve Smith, not amongst the runs. Kane Williamson still searching for runs there. And at that time, Virat Kohli still leading the charts. And you think Joe Root was number four when you talk about the Fab Four, Fab
Yeah.
Five, whatever, right? And now when you look at it, it's completely the opposite. And Virat is retired. Joe Root is way past everybody. He's just left everyone on that list there. But we'll come to Joe Root again later. But England, I think, are in a commanding position. They're 544 for seven. They of course Stokes batting there with in some pain also. But Stokes, he's a fighter. He's never going to give it up. And I think they want to get a healthy lead here and bat India completely out of this test match, which I think they already have. I think they can declare tomorrow in the morning itself and put India to bat. They ain't going to get that many runs, I feel there. But your thoughts on the game, the way England played today?
I thought they batted really well. I thought Pope, especially in that first session, I thought he did really well with Rutel because if India,
Unlucky for Pope also, I
yeah,
felt,
yeah,
right?
he did the hard yards as well. He did that even in the last test. Still, I remember on day one, he got through that tough phase and then he gets out to Jadeja straight after the break. He did the hard yards, definitely did, because I thought that first half hour was key. That first
Yeah,
half hour to an hour. If India would have come back, they would have that would have been the time with the new ball. And early on in the day, I thought that would have been like the ideal time for India to fight back. But yeah, Pope did really well. Unfortunately, he didn't kick on. I mean, all that top three did. I thought they batted really well. I thought there was question marks around
all
them.
the top four, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's different, but I mean, in terms of like the form of the top three after the first game, they all three kind of dipped after they
Yeah,
did well in the first game. The second and third game, quiet games. I think it was much needed for England for them to get going. And number four, I mean, he's different class too. But for them especially, it was so key. I mean, you can still criticize though. We're being really critical though. The top three, none of them kicked on and made 100, which I feel Duckett especially could have been more ruthless and got in 100, especially
yeah,
once he got to the 90s. So that's the only criticism. Brook also, oh, that shot was just awful, wasn't it, Dil? I
yeah,
know England
bad.
scored 500 runs, and it's being very critical if we're going to point at these. But yeah, Brook, not smart cricket. The only way a side's going to get back is if you lose two, three quick wickets. And Brook kind of took a risk there, but then obviously Captain Stokes came in, Dill, and he was not going to give it away on that pitch when he came into
Yeah.
bat. And he looked as good as he's looked all series. His highest score also, he's still there at the crease. So yeah, I thought England batted very well. I thought Pope and Stokes supported Root very well as well, Dill.
Yeah, I think England batted beautifully and full marks to them. Another day dominated by England. And what do you think is going to be the strategy now? I think just going to bat for most part until tea tomorrow and see where they get ahead, or bat until they lose all the wickets. Probably, I think get a healthy, much more healthier lead. I should say it's already 186, and I can't believe I'm saying healthy, but a healthier lead. They're probably 250 and excess, and I think that should be enough, right, for India.
Yeah, I think 250. I think 250 is what they should look at. Obviously, they can get bowled out before that. That is possible as well. Three wickets
Yeah.
only. So, yeah, I think 250 is what they'll be looking at. But I think they should be pretty happy with what they've done so far. I thought today also they batted very smart. They didn't over attack at any time or go too rash like they've gone in the past. They were very controlled and they still went at about 4 runs per over, which is still pretty good. So, yeah. Dill, on India, though, I just want to touch. Do you feel they could have done anything different? Or do you feel they just tried and it was pretty flat and they couldn't do much? The only thing I do also want to ask about Sundar, I can't believe they waited so long to bring him in.
I
What did you
think
think?
I think a lot of people will agree with you, and I think 1.5 billion people will,
Yeah.
kind of feel the same. That what the hell was he doing, for so long there? The guy who's picked up a wicket also, he's just been held back for so long. It's just bizarre, that you get to see that, and it's a bit sad also. I feel, I don't know why, but I just feel, it's a bit sad that you're not kind of trusting him to do the job. And you've seen when he came on immediately, he was looking like he was the one who could take a wicket there.
Yeah.
Then Jadeja also got into the act, and they just kept things a bit tight for some time. I don't know what Sundar was doing. Seriously, I don't know whose call was it to like keep him back, Shubman or the management, really, really. And again, Anshul Kamboj. No offense to him, but I think it was a wrong pick for this Test match. We've discussed yesterday as well. Should they have played Prasidh Krishna or somebody else? But I think Anshul Kamboj wasn't the one for this test. Prasidh Krishna would have been a good option, but you never know how it would have turned out there. But what can India do differently now? Three more wickets to take. It's looking at a very, very uphill task, a monumental task, Sheldon, for them to come out, bat, get over the total, and then set a total for England, which I think is really, really tough. And England will be on top, and they will be looking to bowl out India pretty soon.
Yeah, and also more than just the runs, it's the mental tiredness as well. They've been in the field for so long, over 100 overs. They were in the field the whole day today, Dil. Quite a lot of
Yeah,
yesterday also they were in the field. And we saw even similar, I think, in the second test when England came to bat. It just shows when you're a bit tired, you don't play the
nothing
job
works.
like you
Yeah.
usually do. And it just happens like that, Dil. Sometimes it's a mental game more than anything. And yeah, you did feel India looked tired today, Dil. I thought India first three tests were brilliant, Dil. But just yesterday and today, I feel they were a bit flat with the ball. I thought,
Yeah.
obviously, it's been a long season. Siraj, for example, that he was out on his feet today. I mean, the poor guy's played
Poor,
all four test
poor
matches.
guy, man. I really feel sad for
Yeah,
Siraj.
like it's insane because he was out on his feet and you can't do much there because they have Kamboj as well. He's playing his first test. You can't really. and trust him to do so much as well. It's his first test. Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot of pressure on him. Then Bumrah also goes off till. And then suddenly Kamboja is coming on for another spell when he just went off because they need a seamer there. And then they didn't trust Thakur as much as they could have also.
yeah,
They were not trusting Thakur, they're not trusting Sundar. It just feels like I don't know. I think India played too many all rounders still. Like I get it, you want to play an all rounder, but I feel like maybe they could play an extra batter, an extra bowler, just a specialist. Because
yeah.
this all round thing, they have so many all rounders, but Thakur, is he playing as a batter or a bowler? Because he batted quite well yesterday, but he's not being given enough with the ball. So I think it's just some muddled thinking as well with the selection.
Yeah, I think so, and I agree with you on that. You got Jadeja, you got Washington Sundar. I think both of them have done enough to justify their place. Shardul Thakur also interesting pick for this Test match, I should say, but they should. I know in hindsight, anything can be said, and we'll all be over analyzing the situation. But Kuldeep also was an option there, but I think they needed that extra seamer to give them that little bit more of seam up bowling there. But India, I think, will just have to hope that England don't get a huge lead here, and they just have to come out positive and play. But let's get back to the man who's been dominating Test cricket now for the past 5 years, Joe Root. Since COVID, he scored 21 hundreds. Before COVID, he's got 17 hundreds. So that's a crazy stat. He's like I said, he's already got the most number of catches record. He went past Rahul Dravid for that. And in its single innings today, he goes past Dravid, Kallis, and Ricky Ponting. Insane. And I think he's got the most number of hundreds against India also, which is 12. It's just become the norm now for Joe Root. Every time he bats, he's just breaking some record or the other. And the question I think on everybody's mind, and we've been talking about this for so long now, I think quite a few years, Sheldon, that record of Sachin Tendulkar, 15,900 odd runs that he scored there, I think is now looking really, really in threat. I think Joe Root is almost there. He's gone past Ricky Ponting, and I think the manner in which he's scoring runs, Sheldon, he averages 80 plus in every test. That's insane. I don't know a batsman who's just averaging 80 plus, and I think his test average is also superb, right? 60 almost, if I'm not mistaken.
Insane, Dil. I mean, you just mentioned those stats still. 21 centuries since the start of 21. That is crazy, Dil. I mean, that is some form. And you almost look at Root and you almost feel like he doesn't rate himself that highly. When
Yeah,
he's talking, and he just seems like such a humble guy where, he's like, oh, it's just my job. I'm just doing it. I'm just batting. I like batting. It almost seems like, oh, it's just a fun thing that he likes doing. And I don't think he realizes how good he is still because his conversion rate has just gone
yeah,
insane in these last few years. And the way he plays spin also, Dil, I think that's underrated because I just saw today, you see Pope and you see a lot of these English guys who are good batters, but you see the way they play spin, they get a bit stuck. They're
yeah.
unsure whether to come to the front foot, back foot. But you just watch Root Dil, and he has so much time. And I mean, he's just a fantastic player of spin also. Like, you almost forget that because we've seen some terrific knocks still. We spoke yesterday about Chennai as well, his knock in Chennai.
Yeah,
Terrific hundred there. He's made so many hundreds in Sri Lanka as well, Colombo, Gaul, wherever they've played there. It's been insane. And he just has such an all-round game as well, like spin, seam, and when he's playing in seam, when he goes on the back foot and just plays that through the offside, some
brilliant, man.
excellent
Brilliant
shots.
drive,
And
and
his
even
cover
his
drives also, yeah.
glances, his leg glances, I think are also like superb. And it's just the way that he plays. I think you cannot hate the guy. He's just that sort of a guy, I feel. And my respect for him, and I've mentioned that to you also off air.
Yeah.
It's just been gone up, of many, many folds for Giroud, and just the kind of hunger that he has to score runs.
Yeah, Dil, I mean, you mentioned the hunger, and you got to have it to keep playing. And I think Joe Root was always a good player, Dil, from when he started his career. I think early on as well, even when he was getting all those 50s and not converting, very good player. But I think in 21, he became a great player. And that's the difference, Dil. There's a lot of good players in cricket. But to go to that next level, you become a great player. And I feel he's gone to that level and to be up there with all those guys. Just to mention him in the same breath as Jack Callis, one of the greatest ever, greatest all-rounder to play the game probably till
Yeah.
Pointing. I mean, greatest number three probably till. I mean, just insane to think he's with all these guys till. Like Sachin, that's insane. That's like to be even just second to him. That is
Yeah.
absolutely insane. And you mentioned Kenny get that till. I mean, if he keeps at this rate, it's very possible. We're not being like unrealistic by saying he could reach that. With the way he's been playing over since 21, if he plays 2, 3 years, he could get there. And Bill, we saw the cheers today when he got to second. Can you imagine if he gets there to first and he's in England playing? What if it's in Ashes in England? You'll imagine that if he
That
gets
would
there
be
scoring.
absolutely
I
insane.
mean,
And just for the record, he's 2,500 odd runs behind Sachin only. And if he does it, I think in the next 3 years also, if he's going to play, and England play a lot of Test cricket, so he's got the opportunity there. He just needs to be consistent and be free of any injuries, manage the workload. I think Joe Root is going to eye that record for most number of runs, and it is under threat, whether you guys like it or not. I think it takes a great player to beat another great player's record. So you got to acknowledge the fact that Joe Root is an elite company. He's an elite batsman, and he's just brilliant. There's no more words for Joe Root, and it's just been that sort of a day for England where Joe Root stamped his authority and said, "You guys are not gonna come close to winning this game." Also, and India really on the back foot in this Test match to try and come back. It's going to be a monumental task. Stay tuned for more updates on Boundary Line Podcast, and we'll see you soon in the next video. Bye.